Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about how you can rewire your brain for happiness and purpose and more fulfillment by understanding the science behind giving and generosity. And especially we're going to focus on how you can use your unique gifts and superpowers to make that happen. Now, did you know that acts of generosity don't just make others feel good, but they literally change the way that your brain functions? Now, that's no feel-good concept that I'm just throwing out there. It's actually backed by neuroscience. Now, small disclaimers, we talk about anything in this sort of an idea of neuroscience and such. I am by no means an expert. I'm not in that space at any way. But as we worked on preparing to write my book, The GIVER Method, and what that would look like, I spent a lot of time reading different articles and blogs and books and things that all had to deal with this idea and this concept. And so I'm trying to take and break down the concepts for you in a way that you can understand how that science plays into it. Because by the end of this video, what I'm hoping that you'll walk away with is these 8 actionable steps that you can do about aligning your giving with your gifts and superpowers, so you can create that ripple effect of positivity, both in your life and the life of those around you. So please stick around, because these strategies, they're not just theoretical things that I'm throwing out there. They're actual, they're the practical, intentional actions that you could start implementing today and start seeing a change. These are the exact steps that I'd be going through with you if you were sitting here in my office with me, and I was coaching you or mentoring you one-on-one. The exact same steps I'd go through with you. So they're going to help you to harness your unique gifts and superpowers, create those deeper connections to reduce stress, and enhance your overall sense of purpose and fulfillment. In order to set the stage for that, let me start by asking you a few questions that hopefully frame things up for us. Have you ever wondered why some people just seem to radiate happiness and fulfillment even when life throws challenges their way? Well, what if I told you that the secret is not tied to what they have or just choosing to be happy? It's actually what they give. This idea I want you to think about, is really powerful, is, what if your unique gifts and superpowers aren't just things that you're good at, but they're the tools that you could use to rewire your brain for greater joy and resilience and more meaningful relationships? My name is Jake Talbert. Let's get this out there, all the intros and everything. I'm the founder and the author of a book called The GIVER Method, which I'll include a link to The GIVER Method down in the description, so that once the video is done, you can go to Amazon and get a copy of it. It's on the bestseller lists. It's been going crazy, doing lots of great things for people. If you want to have the most impactful 2025 possible, you're going to want to go get yourself access to this. Now, as I worked on creating this book, this is where I did all that studying to get everything ready to go. And I spent years really honing in and discovering how I could help people to identify and develop their gifts and superpowers. And today, I want to show you how combining that neuroscience and that stuff that I did all this research on with intentional generosity, how it can really transform your life. Now, of course, before we dive in, if you are new here, please go ahead and hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. Don't want you to miss out on any chance to learn how to live with more purpose and make a greater impact in your world. You can also go find us after this on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, or at thegivermethod.com if you want to get on our newsletter list, if you want to see how you can be a part of our Impact Maker community, or see about us being on podcasts or speaking on stages or anything along those lines. I'll include links to all those things in the description. That way you can stay focused heavily on what we're talking about. At the same time, I highly recommend that you grab a piece of paper or you open up a note, because as we go through these, I'm going to be giving you those action items that you could go put into place. And although it's great that you're watching the video, and I hope you keep watching videos, but it's going to be about the actions and steps that you take moving forward that are going to make the greater impact for you. So I highly recommend you get those, jot down your ideas as we go. That way we can dive in and we can really start to explore these steps and principles or ideas that are going to help you to rewire your brain more for generosity and turn your unique gifts and superpowers into tools for happiness and fulfillment and connection. So as we dive through, once again, that disclaimer, I'm going to be using a lot of the words that come with the different articles and blogs and books and videos that I've watched to collect all this data on. I by no means am an expert on it, but I'm going to be using the terms they use, because it really does start to show you how you can rewire all these natural things that are within your brain to live this more fulfilled life and live with more happiness. So the first one is looking at it from, gift-based dopamine connection. So your brain releases dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter linked to, pleasure and happiness and reward during acts of giving. And when your giving aligns with your unique talents, your gifts, your superpowers, this response becomes even more intense, because you're engaging both your brain's reward center and the areas associated with your self-expression. So this is called, the compound reward effect. Essentially, your brain is double rewarded once you commit that act of giving, and again, for acting in alignment with your authentic self. Giving through your natural gifts, it also reinforces the neural pathways that you have associated with generosity and with personal satisfaction. Over time, these sort of pathways, from what I understand, strengthen, making it easier and more natural to recognize your opportunities to give. This sort of a combination of reward and alignment creates that positive feedback loop that encourages you to both give more, but also have more personal growth. So what you want to do, here's first of those action steps of what you can go do, is you start by identifying what are those specific opportunities each day where your gifts could meet the needs of someone else. So this could be as simple as looking at things like, if you have a gift or superpower of humor, how could you uplift a friend or family member who's having a tough day? Or if you want to apply your gift of problem solving skills to help a colleague who's overcome or overwhelmed with a challenge. Think of this as creating that gift impact alignments, where your unique strengths can create that positive effect for others, and then establish what's the consistent practice that you can use to identify what those opportunities are. Yesterday I recorded a whole video about how you set up your morning and your morning routine to have a greatest impact possible. So one of the things you can do is you can spend a few minutes each morning planning how your gifts can be shared throughout the day, and then in the evening you could use that time to reflect how you used your gifts and their impact, and look at how that sort of a reflection solidifies the habit and makes future giving just way more natural and intuitive to you. Because when you consistently do consistent gift-based giving, it doesn't just make you feel good. Like, it actually does rewire your brain to naturally seek out those opportunities to help, which is going to create that reinforcing cycle that strengthens your sense of purpose and improves overall happiness over time. On top of that, using your gifts and superpowers while giving makes your generosity more sustainable. When you give in a way that just aligns with those natural strengths, it feels effortless and enjoyable, which means you're more likely to continue doing them for the long term. Now, the second one is all about the using oxytocin as a connection builder. So oxytocin is often called or connected to this idea of a relationship or a love hormone. It's released during acts of generosity, particularly those involving social connection. It helps build trust, strengthens emotional bonds, and reduces stress. So when these acts align with your unique gifts, they release that oxytocin and even stronger than what it was, and creating that deeper connection or greater sense of belonging as you're doing so. So the research that I've seen shows that consistent giving rooted in your natural talents, it fosters, more emotional resilience. It builds what, they often refer to, they being, scientists, people smarter than me, it builds what they call those connection pathways in your brain. And those pathways make it easier to form meaningful relationships and trust over time. So what you do is focus on the daily opportunities to connect with others in those meaningful ways using your gifts and superpowers. It may be that if you're really good at empathy, spending time listening deeply to someone who's in need. If you're really creative, you could share something you've made that could bring joy or insight into someone's life. Just plan what are those regular interactions that combine your gifts and superpowers with relationship building activities. This could look at you could look at being as systematic as scheduling weekly coffee dates where you offer your talents, or set aside time to share experiences that strengthen emotional bonds over time. Because the act of giving, when it's rooted in connection, it releases that oxytocin, which not only strengthens relationships but reduces anxiety and stress. These consistent practices, they make generosity a cornerstone of social interactions, which just enriches your relationship over time. It enhances trust and bonding that will just come from that oxytocin driven giving, which just creates these ripple effects that we talk about. When you feel, when others feel that they're supported by you, they're more likely to extend generously within their own circles, which just amplifies that impact of whatever your actions were initially. Now, the next one is all about this idea of reducing cortisol. Now, cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone, and elevated levels can lead to anxiety and fatigue and other health issues. I feel like my body sometimes is, like a reservoir of cortisol sometimes for that stress, and anxiety and fatigue and such. Acts of giving have been shown to lower those cortisol levels. It, becomes like the effect of it becomes even stronger when those acts are aligned with your authentic gifts. Once again, how your brain reacts to that. When you give in a way that feels true to who you are, that your brain just engages in caregiving and reward systems simultaneously, creating that calming effect. So that's a dual activation. It helps manage the stress and build more emotional resilience for you over time. So what you want to do is begin every day by identifying ways you can combine stress management with gift-based giving. Like, this might include, what are the mindful practices you do each day? Maybe it's a short meditation to center yourself, followed by planning how your gifts can serve someone else in need. Like, during stressful moments, channel your gifts into helping others. An example of that is, if you're a natural problem solver, focus on resolving an issue for someone else as a part of that. That shifts your brain's focus from stress to contribution, which naturally reduces those cortisol levels. When you focus on that act of giving, you not only reduce your overall cortisol levels, but you shift your mindset from stress to purpose, which creates that long-term pattern where challenges that could come up become opportunities to help others, which enhances your resilience and your relationships. When you align that sort of stress reduction with your gifts, you make generosity just that natural response to difficult situations. And over time, it builds a habit of emotional regulation that benefits both you and those around you. Now, the fourth thing is going to be doing this as a focus enhancer. So giving aligns your natural talents and strengths. Your brain, it aligns with your brain's ability to focus. And by engaging those same sort of neural pathways we talked about earlier that are responsible for attention as well and self-expression, you enhance that clarity and that cognitive clarity for your decision making. Studies show that using your gifts for meaningful contributions not only improves focus but enhances memory and problem-solving skills, which the more consistently you apply, the stronger that cognitive benefit becomes for you. So each morning, map out what are specific opportunities where you can apply your gifts and superpowers with intention. If you're really good at organizing, how do I dedicate time to help streamline a project? Focus fully on the task, avoiding distractions to reinforce your brain's attention networks that are built in naturally. Use mindful reflection to track how your gifts are making that impact, because this could include journaling about the challenges that you've addressed, or the successes that you created for others, and that reinforces the habit of the intentional focus based off of that. Focused giving not only benefits the recipients, but also strengthens your brain's ability to maintain that clarity towards purpose, which helps you stay present and the effect has effect in all areas of your life. Over time, it builds that resilience, emotional and cognitive resilience, making it easier to tackle your more complex challenges while staying true to your gifts. Like, the result is a balanced and intentional approach to both your giving and your own personal growth. Now, the fifth one is relationship amplifiers that come from it. So relationships thrive when they're built on trust and understanding and that consistent effort. Acts of giving that align your natural strengths, it activates regions within your brain associated with social connection or creating stronger of those neural pathways for bonding and emotional intelligence. And when you give authentically, you use your gifts to meet the needs of others. You create, what the different, experts, neuroscientists call that social resonance with others. So that, to me, what it means is it's like a state where both the giver and the receiver experience heightened connection and mutual understanding. And over time, that deepens relationships and strengthens the fabric and the strength of the trust and and shared experiences that you have with each other. So begin by reflecting on how your unique talents can enrich your relationships. For instance, if you're really good with active listening, dedicate time to fully engage with your loved ones without distractions. If you have that strength of organization we talked about earlier, help someone manage some challenging tasks. Schedule what are those intentional moments to connect with those closest to you, which could include, dinner dates, coffee chats, shared activities, collaborative projects where your gifts can shine. The key is consistency, the small, frequent actions that often have much more of a lasting impact than those occasional grand gestures that often we look for. Authentic giving builds stronger, more fulfilling relationships, and over time your bonds form through acts of generosity. They become that source of mutual support and resilience, helping both you and your loved ones navigate life's challenges. And you align your gifts with your relationship building efforts. You ensure that your contributions really do feel genuine and sustainable over time, which what creates that bedrock, that foundation of trust and shared purpose that grow deeper and deeper over years with those closest to you. Our sixth one is all about creating a legacy, building that legacy. Creating any sort of a legacy is about contributing to something that lasts beyond your immediate actions. So when you give through your natural talents, you activate parts of the brain tied towards long-term thinking and purpose forming. These are they call them purpose pathways that make meaningful contribution feel deeply rewarding. So legacy isn't necessarily about the grand achievements, but about the combination and cumulative impact of the small and consistent actions that we were talking about earlier. When you align with your gifts and superpowers, these actions not only enrich the lives of others, but they strengthen your brain's connection to purpose and fulfillment, which leads towards more happiness. So what you want to do is identify the areas where your talents can create long-term impact. You could be a mentor, or you could, if you're really creative, think about how you can work to inspire and educate future generations. Develop whatever that plan is for sustainable giving that reflects your unique abilities. So could be ongoing projects or collaborative efforts, or documenting your insights to be shared with others. The goal is to create systems and processes that ensure your contributions continue to make that impact over time, because a legacy built on your natural gifts leaves a meaningful and enduring mark on the world. It allows you to channel your talents into something that benefits others long after that initial act of giving is done. So that sort of process of building a legacy strengthens your sense of purpose and fulfillment. As you see the long-term effects of your efforts, you feel that deeper connection to your gifts and the lives you've touched. That connection reinforces those neural pathways for sustained generosity and meaningful connection. Now, the next one is all about, a gratitude feedback loop. Gratitude is such a powerful tool for reinforcing your brain's reward pathways. When you express gratitude, your brain releases more serotonin, which promotes feelings of well-being and contentment. Additionally, gratitude strengthens connections in the prefrontal cortex, improving your ability to make plans and decisions and experience more joy. When combining with acts of giving, gratitude creates that feedback loop that amplifies your emotional and cognitive benefits of generosity. It reminds you that the positive impact your actions have on others, and it reinforces that motivation to give and deepen your sense of purpose. So what I recommend you do is you start each day by identifying something or someone that you're grateful for, especially related to how your gifts and superpowers positively have influenced others. And this will set a positive tone and primes your brain to notice those opportunities for generosity throughout the day. At the end of the day, when you reflect in those moments, it's where your gifts, made a difference, whether it's a small act of kindness or larger contribution. You focus on these moments. It helps solidify that connection between giving and gratitude within your mind, because gratitude magnifies those effects of generosity, creating that cycle of that positive reinforcement we've been talking about. It helps you stay focused on the good you're doing, and strengthens your just natural pathways for kindness and empathy. And when you consistently practice gratitude, you train your brain to see giving not as an obligation, but that opportunity for joy and connection. It shifts, it's a shift in your perspective, making generosity so much more sustainable and such a deeply fulfilling part of your life. And of course, the eighth one, I've hit on this topic, I've already mentioned it multiple times, this idea of resilience, but this resilience builder, which leads towards happiness and joy and more fulfillment and purpose. Giving and being generous with your giving, especially with your superpowers, especially during challenging times, it builds that emotional resilience. When you choose to help others despite your own personal struggles, your brain releases those endorphins and activates regions within your brain that are associated to problem solving and adaptability. It creates that sense of control and optimism even when you're in the face of any sort of adversity. So the different things that I've read show that, engaging in those altruistic acts, can really start to lower the stress that you have, anxiety you have, and reduce the symptoms for anxiety or depression even. It rewrites the brain to approach difficulties with the mindset of focus on growth and contribution rather than fear and defeat. So what you do is you identify the ways to channel your challenges into opportunities to give. If you're feeling overwhelmed, consider helping someone navigate a similar situation. Shift your focus. Shifting in your focus, it helps reframe your struggles as a source of strength and connection. And then you develop a habit of looking for a silver lining in those difficult situations, asking yourself, how can my experience inspire or support someone else? And this sort of mindset not only helps others, but it boosts your own sense of purpose and resilience, because, giving during hard times and, it strengthens your emotional resilience by shifting the focus on from what you're lacking to what you can contribute. And this change in perspective, it does start to rewire your brain to view those challenges as opportunities for your growth and connection. And you align your acts, of generosity with your struggles. You create that just powerful narrative of triumph and contribution, and this not only helps you to heal, but also inspires others to see value in their own challenges. These steps, these 8 things, each are grounded in hardcore facts of neuroscience, and also things that, teaching and getting people into with the GIVER method. They're designed to give you a roadmap to rewire your brain for generosity while using your unique gifts and superpowers. And when you align your actions with those natural strengths, you not only enhance your own well-being, but you create that ripple effect of positivity that extends to your relationships, to your community, and well beyond. As we uncover and talk about the science of giving and explore how generosity does change and rewire your brain, let's take a moment to reflect on the transformative power of what we've discussed. Each step is more than a strategy. It's a way to align those actions with your unique gifts and superpowers. These sort of practices are the pathways to deeper fulfillment, to stronger relationships, to a greater sense of purpose. And when you look at it from generosity, it becomes that extension of who you are. It not only reshapes your brain, but it redefines the way that you experience life. And by embracing that intentional giving, you're doing more than just helping others. You're training your brain to recognize that joy, to create those connections that truly matter, to build on that foundation of purpose that can guide you through challenging times and help you to just, explode out opportunities that come your way. Every act of generosity is a decision to live authentically, to lead with your gifts, and to create that ripple effect of positivity. So think about it this way. Generosity is brain training. Every time that you take those intentional acts, you strengthen those neural pathways for kindness and empathy and fulfillment. Your gifts are a part of the key, because as you align generosity with your unique talents, it amplifies your impact, it creates those deeper rewards for you, and it serves those around you. And the big one is that the small steps lead towards big changes, whether it's those moments of gratitude or kindness or nurturing those relationships. Those actions compound over time and transform both your life and the life of those around you. So I invite you to pick one of these things or multiple of them today and go and commit to do them this week. And it could be starting with gratitude, or identifying how your gifts could serve others, or setting intention to uplift someone within your sphere of influence. Small, consistent actions lead to meaningful and lasting change. Remember, this idea of the generosity and the GIVER method isn't about doing things perfectly. It's about the progress that comes. It's finding the new ways to weave that generosity and connection and intentionality into your daily life. Now, if this video, if it resonated with you, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone else who might need that little bit of inspiration to step into their gifts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, ring that bell for notifications so that you can get those insights for life purpose and impact and developing and really utilizing your gifts and superpowers. If you wanted to dive deeper, once again, go down the description. Now's the time. Go down the description and go to Amazon, get your copy of the book. You can also get it on Barnes & Noble and I think some other places internationally. Or go to thegivermethod.com. You can find access to it there, as well as a bunch of other things like our newsletter list, Impact Makers community, stuff like that. All sorts of resources to help you to discover and develop your gifts. Now, as we break it down, like, your generosity has the power to change the world, not just for others, but for yourself. And by giving through your unique gifts and superpowers, you unlock a part of yourself that is just meant to shine. Every day is that new opportunity to grow and to give and to become the person that you're meant to be. So all I can say is thank you for being here and investing the time if you've made it this far. Thank you for your commitment to living generously. Let's go out and make today one of those days that just counts, and not just for ourselves, but for everyone that we encounter. And with that, we'll catch you on our next video. So until then, keep growing, keep giving, and remember that generosity is not just an action, it is a way of being that you're able to step into who it is that you're meant to be. And so with that, we will catch you on our next video. Have a great rest of your day.